Do you think that men can get pregnant?
I hesitated there because I wasn't sure where the conversation was going or what the goal was. I mean, I do take care of patients with different identities. I take care of many women. I take care of people with different identities. And so that's where I paused. I think, yeah, I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Well, the goal is just the truth. So can men get pregnant? You just said a moment ago that science and evidence should control, not politics. So let's just test that proposition. Can men get pregnant?
I take care of people with many identities, but
You're
I
a
totally
doctor, I
agree.
think.
Science and evidence should guide medicine.
Do science and evidence tell us that men can get pregnant? Biological men, can they get pregnant?
I also think yes/no questions like this are a political tool. And
No, yes/no questions are about the truth, doctor. Let's not make a mockery of this proceeding.
Patriots, Congress just witnessed another explosive showdown as Nancy Mace went head-to-head with D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser over DEI policies, gender ideology, reparations, and what Mace called gender madness inside the District of Columbia government. The hearing turned into a brutal clash over basic definitions, race-based policies, and whether common sense still exists in government. Before we break it down, hit that like button, subscribe to The Red Verdict, and turn on notifications, because we bring you the political moments the mainstream media twists or ignores.
Senator Hawley, I think it's science-based by the way that men can't have babies, but that's going to be something. Senator Hawley, don't worry about it. Senator Hawley, that was Senator Moody.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since you bring it up, why don't we just start there? Dr. Verma, I wasn't sure I understood your answer to Senator Moody a moment ago. Do you think that men can get pregnant?
I hesitated there because I wasn't sure where the conversation was going or what the goal was. I mean, I do take care of patients with different identities. I take care of many women. I take care of people with different identities. And so that's where I paused. I think, yeah, I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Well, the goal is just the truth. So can men get pregnant?
Again, the reason I paused there is I'm not really sure what the goal of the question
The goal is just to establish a biological reality. You just said a moment ago that science and evidence should control, not politics. So let's just test that proposition. Can men get pregnant?
I take care of people with many identities, but
Can men get
I take care
pregnant?
of many women that can get pregnant. I do take care of people that don't identify as women. That
Can men get pregnant?
again, as I'm saying,
Let me just remind you what you testified to a moment ago. Science and evidence should control, not politics. So can men get pregnant? You're a doctor, I
agree.
think.
Science and evidence should guide medicine.
Do science and evidence tell us that men can get pregnant? Biological men, can they get pregnant?
I also think yes/no questions like this are a political tool. And
No, yes/no questions are about the truth, doctor. Let's not make a mockery of this proceeding. This is about science and evidence, and I'm asking you. You know, the United States Supreme Court just heard arguments yesterday at great length on this question. This is not a hypothetical question. This is not theoretical. It affects real people in their real lives. And you're here as an expert, called by the other side as an expert, and you've been telling us that you follow, right, you're a doctor, and you follow the science and the evidence. So I just want to know, based on the science, can men get pregnant? That's a yes or no question. It really is, I think.
I think you're trying to reduce the complexity of a lot.
I'm not. I'm trying to get, it's not complex. I'm trying to get to an answer, and I'm trying to test, frankly, your veracity as a medical professional and as a scientist. Can men get pregnant?
I think you're also conflating
This is
male
extraordinary.
female with
No, I'm not conflating male and female. They're two different things. There's biological men and there's biological women. And I want to know, can men get pregnant?
what you were talking about is biological.
You're not going to answer my question, it sounds like to me.
Biological males.
This isn't hard, doctor. Can men get pregnant? Yes or no?
Again, I would be more than happy to have a conversation with you that is not coming from a place of trying to be polarized and push.
I'm not trying to be polarizing. I'm trying to ask, I think it is extraordinary that we are here in a hearing about science and about women. And for the record, it's women who get pregnant, not men.
It also,
We are here about the safety of women and science that shows that this abortion drug causes adverse health events in 11% of cases. That's 22 times greater than the FDA label, another fact you haven't acknowledged, and yet you won't even acknowledge the basic reality that biological men don't get pregnant. There's a difference between biological men and biological women. I don't know how we can take you seriously and your claims to be a person of science if you won't level with this on this basic issue. I thought we were past all of this, frankly. I can't believe we're still here talking about this.
I am a person of science, and I'm also someone here who's here to represent the complex experiences of my patients, and I don't think polarized language or questions serve that goal. I don't think they serve the American people.
It is not polarizing to
They
say
are
that there
not.
is a scientific difference between men and women, and I want this to be clear and for the record. It is not polarizing to say that women are a biological reality and should be treated and protected as such. That is not polarizing, that is truth. It is also, by the way, the United States Constitution, which offers unique protections to women in a variety of circumstances as women. And your refusal to recognize women as women and men as men is deeply corrosive to science, to public trust, and yes, to constitutional protections for women as women. And I think it's extraordinary that you would sit here and advance a political agenda that has been thoroughly discredited and rejected by the American people in this forum. And I'm glad we had this exchange because it is exceptionally clarifying. It is also in many ways quite depressing. I see that my time has nearly expired. I just want to thank the other witnesses for being here. Thank you for protecting women and children. Thank you for your valiant efforts. Thank you for following the science. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, for this hearing.
Senator also Brooks.
This hearing was less of a policy discussion and more of a culture. War Collision live inside Congress. Representative Nancy Mace came prepared to challenge what she views as radical DEI and gender ideology policies embedded throughout Washington, D.C. law. Sitting across from her was D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser, who quickly found herself under fire over language in the D.C. code involving terms like birthing people, intersectionality, reparations programs, and LGBTQ-focused policies. And honestly, this exchange tells you everything about where America's political divide stands right now. Mace's argument was straightforward from a conservative perspective. Government should focus on equal treatment under the law, not race-based programs, ideological language, or identity politics. She framed D.C.'s policies as proof that progressive politics has become detached from everyday Americans. That's why she repeatedly asked direct yes or no questions. Can men become women? Can men get pregnant? Should benefits be distributed based on race? Why use terms like birthing people instead of women or mothers? Now, whether you agree with her tone or not, those are questions millions of Americans are already debating outside Washington. What made the hearing especially damaging for Bowser politically was that she struggled to give clean, confident answers. Several times, she said she was unfamiliar with the specific legal language being cited from D.C. code. That allowed Mace to reinforce her broader argument that progressive governments are creating complicated, ideological systems even their own leaders cannot clearly explain. And from a media standpoint, that is exactly the kind of clip conservatives know will spread online fast. Now, let's be fair here. Supporters of DEI policies argue they exist to address historical inequities, expand inclusion, and recognize marginalized groups. That is the left's argument. They believe language evolves to reflect broader identities and experiences. But conservatives see something very different. Many Americans hear terms like birthing person and feel that basic biological reality is being erased in order to satisfy ideological activism. They hear discussions about reparations and wonder why government is increasingly dividing people by race instead of promoting equal opportunity. That is the political battlefield we are living in right now. Mace also announced legislation she called the No DEI in D.C. Act, which she says would remove DEI-related policies from the D.C. government structure. Whether that legislation advances or not, Republicans clearly believe these cultural issues remain politically powerful heading into future elections. And honestly, Democrats continue struggling with one major problem during hearings like this: messaging. When politicians cannot answer basic questions directly, voters notice. If your policies are solid and understandable, you should be able to explain them clearly and confidently. Instead, many Americans watching this hearing probably walked away, even more confused about what some of these government terms actually mean. That confusion fuels distrust. Now, did parts of this hearing become political theater, Absolutely. Both sides were clearly playing to their audiences. Mace wanted viral moments exposing progressive ideology, while Bowser appeared focused on not stepping into rhetorical traps that could explode online later. But beneath the confrontation is a very real national debate. Should government policies focus on identity groups? Should public institutions use ideological language? Should race-conscious programs exist at all? And where is the line between inclusion and discrimination? Those questions are not going away anytime soon. From a conservative patriot perspective, many Americans feel the country is drifting away from common sense and toward bureaucratic activism that ordinary citizens never voted for. They want government focused on safety, affordability, infrastructure, crime reduction, and economic opportunity, not endless ideological language battles. And this hearing captured that frustration perfectly. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Nancy Mace exposed serious problems inside D.C. government policies? Or do you think this hearing unfairly targeted diversity and inclusion efforts? Comment below and let your voice be heard. And if you want more unapologetic conservative commentary, congressional hearing reactions, and political analysis without the corporate media filter, subscribe to The Red Verdict right now. Like this video, share it everywhere, and stay informed. Because the culture war inside Washington is only heating up.